Welcome to the stage Stephanie Marciano, Head of Brand and Sports Marketing, Ally; Renee Montgomery, two-time WNBA Champion and Co-owner, Atlanta Dream; and Midge Purce, forward, Gotham FC, and interviewer, Maggie McGrath, editor, Forbes Women.
Let's get it, squad.
I think I'm the only one on this stage. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you hanging.
Sports, go sports.
Strike against me. So, Moira just mentioned the unprecedented investment in women's sports, and just to set the stage with a few statistics, because we love our numbers here at Forbes. 2 years ago, women's sports were valued at just under $700 million. Today, in 2025, thanks to game days, commercials, broadcast, we're looking at a valuation of more than $2 billion. That's in 2 years. And the three women I have on stage with me today are, I would say, responsible for part of that growth. And they each occupy different seats within the industry. So I'd love to start by each of you telling the audience about the seat you occupy as players, as founders, as owners, as marketers. Midge, I'll start with you.
So I have a dual role in the sports industry. I am a professional soccer player for Gotham FC and also the U.S. Women's National Team. Thank you. Yes.
Get into it.
We're making a playoff push this next game in 2 weeks. Come on. And I'm a founder. I have a production company in partnership with Alexis Ohanian, and we produce docu, sports-centered content and series that I'm excited to talk about, namely the off-season.
And we'll get to the off-season. Renee?
That part, that's lit. For me, I played in the WNBA for 11 seasons, which also means I'm the group that played overseas for 10 seasons in parallel with the WNBA. We didn't have off-season shows and Unrivaled to offset that. Now I'm a co-owner and vice president of the Atlanta Dream. We too are making a playoff push. Let's go. Let's go. Today is game day. We play in Connecticut today. We're sitting at the number 2 seed, probably gonna land at the number 3 seed. So if you can, check us out. You know, we popping out here.
And Steph Marciano, I head up sports marketing at Ally Financial. So basically my remit is to decision make on our investments in sports marketing. We've got a robust portfolio across men's and women's sports, but over the last 5 years, we have made a lot of strategic intentional investments in women's sports because there's a lot of white space. There was a lot of ability to impact change. And a lot of the executives at Ally are former athletes. So being able to invest with the marketer and the athlete mindset has really allowed us to kind of be out in front as market movers and kind of architects from a commercial standpoint of this industry.
Now, Renee, you joined us at the Women in Sports stage at the Under 30 Summit last year. It was roughly 1 year ago to almost the week, and you said visibility, visibility, visibility. The more people watch, the more they invest, the more we reap. So 1 year later, I would love to ask you, what is either one investment win or one visibility win that you've seen that has contributed to the growth that I referenced in the beginning?
Oh, I love that you came with receipts. With me and Forbes, we kind of go together at this point. I'm thinking about it. I think the win is the fact that everyone in here probably knows that the WNBA and the NWSL and women's sports are having a moment. Like, I'm sure you've seen the shirts. I'm sure you've seen a commercial. I'm sure you all can name a player or two. I think that is the growth of visibility. That's the win. If I were to say, can you name a couple NBA players, everybody would be like, duh, you know? But I've been in rooms where I'm like, name me a few WNBA players, and I get crickets. And I think that's wild to me, but also I think it was more of a visibility problem. It was not about the players, it was not about the league, but if it's not on your screen when you turn on, like, there's no way in the world you're gonna miss Monday Night Football. Like, I mean, Amazon got the tape on the boxes. It's like there's everything at Amazon. I know it's Thursday, but I'm just saying the promo, when you turn on the Prime, it's the first thing you see. That's the visibility that I'm talking about, that I really think that women's sports, if we had it, you'll see the trickle effect. It's not like there's this math equation that we can't figure out why women's sports wasn't growing at a certain point. It's like, if you invest in it, it will grow. So I think the wins for me is the viewership's up, the attendance is up, everything is at record numbers, and more people keep investing because now they see a return on investment. Shouts to the early ins, because there was those early ins that you knew that the product was good and you were just waiting for the return. But I mean, I just think the growth is evident at this point.
I'll ask a similar question to Midge and Steph. What does 1 year mean for growth for the work that you do and for this sector? Steph, I'll put you on the spot first.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, we were an early market mover. Again, being these athletes and these marketers, like we're kind of not as risk averse because we believe in the product and we believe that the fandom is there, but we've got to get to the fan. We've got to make it easier for fans of women's sports to consume the game. So for us, every single year that we've been looking at this, we take the insights, right? When we first started, media disparity was our kind of focus area, and it was because less than 5% of media coverage was going toward women's sports. So you're talking about 95% or more coverage in sports was going to men's sports. So how can the industry grow if you can't get the games, if you can't get the stories behind these athletes? So we basically took that head on and said, hey, we're part of the problem. We did our own audit and said, we're spending 90% of our media in men's sports as well and only 10 in women's. That was a problem. If we're gonna go out and do this and try to fix this, we've got to fix ourselves in-house first. And we went out, we launched a pledge, and we basically said, Ally, within the next 5 years, we will spend equally in men's and women's sports media. We're 4 years in.
I was about to say, we got to clap for that. Wait a minute.
Thank you. And we're 4 years in, we're about to hit it, we're a couple of points off. And I think the biggest part of that is when you talk about a year, we look at the growth of that coverage is up, right? You have so many emerging media outlets, new outlets that are in the space covering 24/7. We're investing in athletes as media channels. So like we're bridging that gap. And media is the single greatest revenue driver of sport. So we need the rights deals to be higher because that trickles to the leagues, that trickles to the teams, and that trickles down to players. So it's something that we have to continue to kind of invest in and make sure that the coverage disparity closes.
Midge, what about you? What does a year mean for growth?
Well, from the player perspective, our league is expanding 2 new teams next year. We have a new CBA, so the salary cap is much higher, which means our salaries as players is much higher. New conditions and requirements for our facilities, for our locker rooms. So 1 year changes your lifestyle completely, if you negotiate correctly.
If you negotiate, that is crucial.
And from the production side, for me, 1 year was 350 million views on a new docuseries.
Let's go.
Thank you. Last year, we launched the first of its kind, a reality and a sports docuseries marriage rather, called The Off Season, and we released it on X, and within 6 months, it garnered 350 million views, which is unheard of, especially in something in women's sports, soccer. That those numbers just don't happen. So for me, a year was a new series and a platform to now build another new series. So I'm excited that we'll be announcing a season 2 soon, but not exactly where you think it would be. But it's a completely new industry that you can enter in.
What's interesting is each of you kind of touched on the power of storytelling. Steph, you said it directly, media is the single biggest driver. And I got into a debate with a friend's husband about the Caitlin Clark effect. And I said, people are invested because there's a storyline. And he goes, no, people are invested because the quality of play is excellent. And I was like, the quality of play has always been excellent. I think it's the stories, but what's your experience? How has storytelling changed the way the audience perceives you?
I think storytelling is the reason anyone watches anything. It's the story of a worst placed team coming to first. That's what Gotham did 2 years ago. That's how we won the championship. You should check out that story. It's the story of a bench warmer scoring the final point in the championship game. It's the story. We love seeing triumphs and we love seeing failures and knowing all the emotion and the background that went into it. And the reason why I felt it was really important to do some storytelling was because in women's soccer, the U.S. women's national team players are the only players who really make a lot of money off of endorsements. It's the only way you could really get brand deals. But I would sit in my locker room and I would watch these individuals who aren't on national teams, arguably as talented, and not get anything for the stories that they are going through. Just seeing their careers happen and no one care about seeing it, that was really difficult because I would also turn on my favorite shows, Real Housewives, Vanderpump Rules.
Okay.
Bad Girls Club.
Oh, you read it.